So the first thing that he said was,
So wait, we got in there, and I'm gonna let you know it was freezing, kind of freezing when we got up in there.
Yeah, a little cold.
Yeah, it was cold up in there.
I mean, it looked like he knew I was coming. It looked like he would have kind of like turned the heat on to make it be a little toasty in there and a little more comfortable than what it was when we first got in there.
Well, you know what? This morning when you said you was coming over to my place, I made sure I had to. It's type toasty in here. It ain't too cold in here.
Yeah, but my feet are cold.
All right,
but because I have to take my shoes off at the door, but
okay.
my feet
But
are a little cold.
other than that, like
it's cool.
Yeah, because I tried to, I know you coming. So so I feel you when you say that, knowing that a guest is coming, and you coming just to visit.
Right.
I can imagine if you were spending bread with me. Oh, best believe them feet would be warm. Everything would be.
No, but I was spending bread.
Exactly.
I booked it, man.
What's the use of me fooling myself? No matter what I keep telling myself. What's the use of me fooling myself? No matter what I keep telling myself.
Check it. DocPop from the Bronx, New York. What we do is very seldom talk. Don't mess around and get outlined and chalk. My people locked up in a jail cell. Economy's tight, so we can't make bail. Left dead or rock. Rehearsing the cop, this ain't a lot. For a city of dreams, dreams that are rarely seen. I don't know what this all means. Just weigh it up on a triple beam.
At times I wonder, no matter how many times I change it, the game still gets my number. Black clouds, it's raining, I hit thunder. I'm trying to keep from going under.
I'm here with DP, and we back from James City, North Carolina. I know y'all seen the clip that he put up. I hope y'all seen it. If not, we're gonna leave a link definitely for y'all to check that out.
Yeah, it's the preview.
It's the preview.
All right? And I pulled up on my son, to drop off something here, and then we were talking about some of the things that might have been left out the preview, so we want to fill that in. Want to say peace and blessings to you. We're going to have a discussion, in other words, and we definitely want y'all to come in on it because there was a lot of things that need to be filled in, and then we want to talk about the journey to Jamestown, little obstacles that we had, and things that we had uncovered and found out. And we would like y'all feedback. Let us know what y'all think about these things.
For sure.
Okay.
So let's start with. We might as well start with the Airbnb. Cause listen, it was. I recommended Pops to do an Airbnb because this is something like this generation is known for. So I told Dad, try it out. So he booked it. And he gonna let y'all know his first experience doing the Airbnb. So
yeah. This is my first time getting Airbnb. I heard a lot of good things, from him about it. Seen some of the ones that he had booked and stayed in, and they look pretty interesting. So I figured, we can do that, and then we can get a lot of things done while we're there. So I booked the Airbnb. They said it was the whole Airbnb. And then, they gave us a room in there, and it was like a 3-bedroom. And so we got there. I called the guy. He said, sometimes they tell you about the ins and outs of what you can do and what you can't do. So the first thing that he said was,
so wait, we got in there, and I'm gonna let you know it was freezing, kind of freezing when we got up in there.
Yeah, a little cold.
Yeah, it was cold up in there.
I mean, it looked like he knew I was coming. It looked like he would have kind of like turned the heat on to make it be a little toasty in there and a little more comfortable than what it was when we first got in there.
Well, you know what? This morning when you said you was coming over to my place, I made sure I had to. It's type toasty in here. It ain't too cold in here.
Yeah, but my feet are cold.
All right.
Because I have to take my shoes off at the door, but
Okay.
you know,
But
feel a little cold.
other
Man.
than that, like
It's cool. You know,
yeah, because I tried to, I know you
doubt.
coming. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel you when you say that,
Yeah.
knowing that a guest is coming, and you coming just to visit.
Right.
I can imagine if you were spending bread with me. Oh, best believe them feet would be warm, everything would be.
No, but I was spending bread. I
Exactly.
booked it, man.
Yeah.
And so it was a little cold in there. And then he said something about there was 4 pillows on the bed, and he said that I need to take off 2 pillows. Now a guy like me, a grown man, I don't even know how many pillows I got on my bed at home. It's probably about 10.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying, or more.
I could witness to that.
Yeah. So, when you tell me that I can't use pillows, and it was kind of strange, number one. And number two, listen, I'm a grown man. So a grown man paying you for an Airbnb, and then, you're going to say, well, you can't use these pillows. And my son, he wanted to cook something, and they had a stove downstairs because the room was upstairs. And now he said we can't even cook. We can use the microwave, we can't cook. So, and then to come to find out that he stayed there, he actually lived in the place, but he was going to be gone while we were there. Okay. But man, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable being there. I didn't feel comfortable with all the rules and regulations. So I was leaving. I was going to leave. So so my son, man, he told me, what you tell me?
Yeah, because I seen you was uncomfortable. I know when my dad is uncomfortable, So, and if my dad is uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So I said, yo, you know what? I know Airbnb is good with the customer service and solving problems. If you have, so I recommended you to call the customer service, and that's what you did. You got on it. Yeah.
So I called customer service. So it was, we gonna call you back, but I was packing myself very late because whether they accommodated me or not, I sure couldn't stay there because I couldn't sleep. It was just very uncomfortable. And so what they wound up doing, saying they was gonna give me a refund, and so we broke out of there really not knowing what we was gonna do from there.
So let me see. I forgot. So a lot happened between then and now. But were we in James City right there, or was we in?
No, we was in James City.
That was James City right there.
We was in James City, and the neighborhood was nice and everything, and
it was a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, it was a nice neighborhood, but I just couldn't get with all these restrictions,
And then he did, and then he told you the pillow thing where he said you need to take 2 of them off the bed and all of that. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I wound up getting my refund, and, we wound up looking on, staying there, trying to figure out what we was going to do, looking through the, through the phone to see, what the next stop was going to be because, we done drove all the way over there, and now, we don't got a place to stay. But we pulled up into this place, Comfort Suites up there in James City, and there was a very nice young lady at the counter there, the receptionist, and she gave us, a nice.
What was her name? I want to shout her out.
Her name, I believe her name was
Natasha.
Was it Teresa? Or?
Teresa.
Yeah.
Shout out Teresa.
Yeah,
James City.
Yeah. And so she gave us a nice price, on the room that we stayed in, and also, at that point we were hungry, and so she referred us to some people that she know.
Seeing Soul.
Yeah, which we're gonna put some video in this clip, man, showing you, what the food was about. Excuse me, what's your name?
Right.
Who?
Right.
Fire.
Right.
Man, what's your name?
Huh? He said.
Now, what I'd like to do now is talk about, like in the preview, I mentioned in the preview that, the first stop was the James City Historical Society, not to be mistaken for the Newburgh Historical Society, which is a totally different place. And it is very interesting that I found out, when I looked at the two and tried to compare the two, it was like night and day, and there's a reason for it. And so we did go by. That was our first stop. We did go by the James City Historical Society. But come to find out, they don't have hours. And, so when we got there, we was hoping to get an interview in or something like that.
And that's when we went over there to the slave. It says slave quarters 911, right?
Yeah.
That area. That was the first stop. Near the fence where.
That was the fence is. I believe that belonged to the airport. When I called the girl from the African American, it's African American Historical Society there out of the church. So I called her. I spoke with her, and she told me that was airport property over there near that property there. And she was also, she sat on the board with the James City Historical Society. Now, what I want to do, I want to talk about that society and look like, because when I went to the Newburgh Historical Society, they had hours, they had this, they had everything going on. And so, what I come to find out is that the James City, since that's primarily a town that was the settlement for freedmen, and so what I found out and noticed that they didn't have the proper funding that they needed to just have an office that was open 24/7. They didn't have funding, and then the reason for that I found out is that they are unincorporated. It's an unincorporated town.
So, okay, just like you have to explain to me what that was and the difference between incorporated and unincorporated, I'm pretty sure there's viewers out there that not sure what it means either. So, can you just explain what's the difference between incorporated and unincorporated town?
Well, an unincorporated town like James City, they depend on the nearest municipality that is incorporated for funding, and that happens to be the Newburgh, out there in Newburgh.
Okay.
Newburgh, the city of Newburgh.
Which we gonna show y'all clips of.
Yeah. They are incorporated, and so what that means is that James City taxes might not be, they might be lower because they unincorporated, but they don't get the services, they don't get to govern themselves, and so they're governed by Newburgh and not themselves, and I'm trying to figure out why wouldn't they want to govern themselves, especially if it's a black town? They could choose their own mayor.
Yeah.
They could, and then plus they could actually get government funding, Yeah. But because they're unincorporated, they lack these type of services. Now, my question is that I want to know, and then when I do find out, I'll let y'all know, is why are they not incorporated? Why not? What are the obstacles from them being incorporated? Now, this is a town of just about 5,000 people, you see. Yeah. And they say it's rural, but I didn't really see the rural part of it. Did you? When we went to James City,
it looked pretty modern, built up. I mean,
it was
the only rural thing that we came across was the light, the traffic light.
Well, see, and that's the problem. See, because when we pulled up on this traffic light, that it
We
was
stood there for what, 30 minutes?
We stood there for what seemed like 30 minutes.
Oh, man.
And what happened was, like, there was a woman, man, that pulled up beside me and said, well, you got to go at this time because this light's been broke for a week. And see, that's the thing about in an unincorporated town, that you got to depend on the municipality, and usually the services be lacking like that. That light was out for a week like that. And that was kind of crazy.
And then the traffic was backed up.
Yeah, backed up. That was backed up. I didn't know, if, you know what I mean? But she went before me and I followed her, so that's how I got up out of there. Otherwise, I probably would have still been sitting there. You know? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
But, so it's things like that, you got to depend on another municipality to handle your services for you. And you know what's going to happen there. They're going to handle their services first in their municipality, and you're going to come second. And that light's been out for a week. And that's a serious traffic infraction, man, that can cause accidents and all that. And they've been out for a week,
That's true.
We came across that, and that's some of the problems with a city having to depend on another municipality because they're unincorporated for funding. Meanwhile, if they would create their own government, city government, city council, whatever, then they could solicit funds for the federal government, man, to help them, to fund their town. Yeah. And so that's what I found out. I found out they were unincorporated, and they depend on the city of New Bern, to deal with their services for them. And so I need to really talk to some people over there. And when I do, like I said, I'll let y'all know why isn't a city like that incorporated.
So with that, so basically, your curiosity to shine light to James City was simply based on you just trying to find the roots of our family history, and then you just uncovering all this other stuff.
And I'm glad you mentioned uncovered, because that's going to be the next video to show you, man, what jewels. So you got to stay tuned, and
you're going to want to
keep in touch, because what I'm going to show you in this next video, man, is a chat that I had with ChatGPT, and what it's going to do, and just be looking for ChatGPT exposed, because I'm going to show you, in looking for my roots, things that I discovered that would uncover certain things about this country that they never wanted you to know. You understand? So, stay tuned.
You're going to want to see
stay
this
in
one.
touch for that one, because guess what? I need your feedback. I need your feedback, and you tell me what you think about this chat that I had. What do you think? What do you think about it? That's going to be a good one right there. And I want to get that out there. And please, like the video, share the video, subscribe, because we're going to get these bangers out here for you. Because this one here, you don't really want to miss the next video coming up.
You don't want to miss that one.
You don't want to miss that one. Yeah. So what else you got?
Like he said, stay tuned for that. I'm his son, so I got the behind the scenes, so trust me, you're going to want to know this one.
All right, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. Now, when I talked to Michelle, as you could see her in the preview, as I talked to her, she told me that after Reconstruction, doing the rebuilding of James City, how black neighborhoods, they wasn't ghettos.
Oh yeah.
Man, the black neighborhoods was thriving.
She told us that.
The dress code was immaculate. They elegant. In the black community, so it wasn't ghetto. But see, what I'm believing happened, like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and every other place in this country, that certain people got jealous. Because after Reconstruction, after the Union soldiers, man, pulled up out of there and was forbidden to protect these people anymore, then this is when the KKK came in, disrupting communities, taking over communities, just really, got jealous, man, of how well black folks was doing, and just destroyed various communities. And maybe this is, why my grandfather and, his sisters and everything landed and, came up to New York and landed in Harlem.
Yeah.
They landed in Harlem, New York. This is what I found out when I was over there. They landed in Harlem and they stayed there for a few. And yeah, so it's very interesting. Very interesting.
So this is ongoing. This is still ongoing.
Oh, nah. Listen, the search for my great-grandfather is still ongoing. Now, I know some people say that there was records, and there was, but very few people have records to the 1700s. The government really didn't. Well, they encouraged states to keep records, birth records, and stuff like that. But those who didn't, you don't really have that record. But those who did, kind of like tried to get a backtrack of records. So, in other words, because it wasn't required, then what they did is they got other supporting information and come up with the delay, what they call the delayed birth certificate. So that's what I'm really doing now. I'm trying to acquire the delayed birth certificate, and once I do that, I can look on that document to see what supporting evidence and supporting documents is on that document that we could explore. There might be several supporting documents that we can explore and try to find my great-grandfather. Now, of course, I see my great-grandmother, and this is why you don't really want to do a search based on matriarchal.
Because that preview, I seen people ask you about looking into some other family members.
Yeah, but that's on my mother's side, and usually you're not going to get a solid background. You can do that. But, biblically speaking, it really doesn't, because biblically speaking, once a man takes a wife, they become one. And so since she takes his name, then she's joined to him now. So it's best to go down the patriarchal side because she takes his name and now she becomes whatever he is. And so it's best to do it patriarchally and not matriarchally, because what I find out that somewhere down the road that there was a split. And I don't know whether it was because my grandfather passed away or my great-grandfather passed away or whatever the case may be, but it looks like my great-grandmother took on another last name, early on. So, see, my grandfather never really talked about his past or his father. And, I didn't really press the issue. I wish I would now, but maybe he was trying to forget about some of the things that went on in James City and, the past, and trying to get that. But it's very important that we know about these things.
Yes.
And so this is why, I'm continue, moving down this road. And, of course, I can't look forward to going back, because I will be going back. So this is an ongoing thing, that I'm doing.
Okay, So like you said, it's ongoing. So because we went down, it clearly wasn't enough time. Things was moving so quick when we got down there, and people was, and I want to say this, man. James City and New Bern, they was welcoming, friendly, and well, we did stop in the hood. I'll let Pop tell you about that.
Let me talk about that.
Yeah,
so I was excited, to be, man, in the city where my grandfather was born and where my great grandfather, had my grandfather. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's check out the hood. Let's go in the hood. Let's see whether we see some people. So we did see a group of guys, just
Chilling.
chilling, doing what they do. And, but it's something very interesting that I noticed, like when we pulled up, and I pulled up, I jumped out the car, greeted the brothers, I figured I was down south. Usually down south is very, very accommodating, very hospitable. But when I came up on these group of guys, they were very apprehensive. And I could understand it. Some brothers, just pulling up, you don't know them.
Yeah.
But, I assured them, man, that we were friendlies. We wasn't, enemies or anything like that. So what happened was they were very apprehensive. They were very apprehensive. And see, and I don't fault those brothers, for that. I do not fault them. It's the conditioning, man, of society that makes us apprehensive about each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is also the programming, against us that had programmed us against one another. Lord, listen, man. Woo! That's a heavy right there, But, so that's why I feel that reparative justice, it just needs to happen. It just needs to happen. Because look at those brothers. Those brothers, man, have been affected then by this type of society, this type of conditioning. And to the point that, brothers can't even come up on brothers, man, without brothers being apprehensive of one another, and it's kind of crazy, that this is something that I've seen, and, I didn't fault the brothers because I understand what this type of conditioning is.
One of the brothers said that he said, remember we explained why we was there, and he seemed like he was gonna call somebody on the phone, and it was like,
yeah, but I don't think he understood the depths of where we were trying to go, based on he might have called somebody on the surface, but that wouldn't have helped us. I don't believe
because we told him we had to find our family roots, and then he said, well, let me get such and such on the phone. She knows everybody and all the history. But it wouldn't have helped us because we trying to
I think the brother was just talking.
You think so?
Yeah, the brother was just talking. I mean, because if he wasn't, then we would have got on the phone with them because he never really made the phone call.
Oh, see, I was in the car. I heard it. Yeah, I heard it. I was in the car.
Yeah,
so
you right.
You right. All right.
What I mean? So, it's possible, but then I don't know. I would think that. That's why I said, let's go to the new James City Historical Society, because they might have had older folks that might have knew a little something, because it's only 5,000. So in a town like 5,000, anybody kind of like knows everybody,
Right.
Yeah. Like I said before, what I found out about James City, doing my research, is that a lot of records were destroyed. See, so. And also the grave sites of formerly enslaved black people, they had dug that up like without regard, did a whole lot of just devious stuff, not being mindful of the sacred ground of formerly enslaved black people where they were buried at. And I think that was a horrible thing, but the thing is, we was hoping to interview some people, and that's coming up because, like I said, I talked to the lady from the African American Historical Society there, and she told me when is a good time to get there, and hopefully, we can have some of these interviews when we get there, and that's coming up later on this year.
Yes. Yes. Beware that because
So and then what I want to do, man, I want to encourage all of you to just dive a little bit. You're gonna be surprised at what you find. Just try to dive into a little bit about your history.
Wait, but you telling them that, but how did you? Where did they start? Like you, I noticed that. Did you look on the obituary of Granddad thing and then see how did you start? Like where did they start?
I seen this. I looked on my grandfather's obituary and saw that there was his father and his mother up there. So I started there. I started there. In fact, when I took it over to Mr. Victor Jones, I took the obituary over there. So from the obituary, he was able to find certain information out, about my grandfather and my grandmother, digging through some census records of the past and all that. And so I was able to look at the census record and determine that my great-grandmother did get remarried at some point. And so you encourage the audience to start at least with the obituary of your grandfather, your great, and from there you should be able to. Yeah, you should be able to, because the obituary, that's an official document, in terms of, factual information about your past on that. So yeah, if you can grab that, if you don't have nothing else, you can start there.
All right, all right.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I can't really think of nothing else, man, that I would like to talk about. But just stay tuned for the next video, which is definitely going to have some very, 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 very interesting information on it, which led me to believe that America wouldn't be America without black people. Listen, see, they keep saying foundation built. I'm talking about before, anything was built. I'm talking about, man, during the American Revolution, how America would have never won the war if it wasn't for black people. Would have never won. America wouldn't have been America. Later for building anything, for the very start of America wouldn't have happened without black people.
And that's against Britain, right? The British.
The British, yeah. And that's going to come up. I'm going to have some information for you, and that will come up. So what does that mean? America would never be America. Does that mean that black people should never be where they are in America right now on the bottom? They should be right there. In fact, based on what I found out, really, because once you stole something, then you got to pay back fourfold. So, we should have all of America according to the Bible. Okay.
And Christian nationalism.
Yeah, because, when you get Trump talking about the influence of America and the things that blacks has done for America.
Black patriots fought and bled on the battlefields of the American Revolution, and they really did, when you read the history, what they gave up. They gave everything to smash the chains of slavery and preserve our nation, and they did it with incredible bravery. They helped win the Wild West, tame the skies, and save freedom in the Second World War. They're warriors. From the very beginning, black Americans have been a vital part of the American story, helping to make this the greatest nation in the history of the world.
Definitely do, based on what I found out.
And isn't it a scripture that speaks on that? That you always tell me about that, like restore.
Oh yeah, well, scriptures always talk about reparative justice. Always talk about that a wicked man. It's in Ezekiel, I believe it's chapter 33, man. When a wicked man does try to repair what he has done, Ezekiel 33:15. If the wicked restore the pledge given again that he had robbed. See, if he restored what he had robbed. And, he had robbed a lot from black America and didn't make him a partner in America when it wasn't for him. America
I got to stay tuned for this next one.
America would have never been America without him. So now it says, if the wicked restore the pledge given again that he had robbed, walk in the statutes of life without committing iniquity, he shall surely live and shall not die. So that means he got to restore, right there, restore that which he had robbed. All right? It says, none of, in verse 16, it says, none of his sins that he had committed shall be mentioned unto him. He had done that which is lawful and right. He shall surely live. All right, so that's Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 15 through 16. All right, so reparative justice, man, as we see in the Bible, is something, man, that is right, righteous, and exact in the eyes of the Lord. Now, you know, when you fail to do that, then what you do is you compile your iniquities on yourself. So, you know, when you, as a rich man met Abraham, you know, seeing Lazarus in Abraham's bosom, man, that's in the book of Luke. You see the rich man never asked Abraham, well, why am I here? He understood why he was there. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. So we you know we look at that and we look at history and see that's why it's a good thing, because you never know what jewels you will uncover when you dive down that rabbit hole and try to find out your history like I did. You know, and that jewel that I uncovered, I stumbled across. And I'm gonna tell you more about how I stumbled across that in the next video. Like I stumbled across, but it just shows that black folk, freedmen, formerly enslaved black people should be on top of America, should be right side by side with the ruling class, because we help. It wouldn't have been, without us, man, America would not have been America, man. And then you got people, man, who take advantage of people, utilize people, and then don't make them partners, but just push them down. And you know, what kind of wicked person does this? You know, America, you know, formerly enslaved black people or freedmen, you know, are going to be the only real allies, you know, here in America. You got people who don't have, who didn't bleed, die, their ancestors didn't do anything, then they come in this country and they get over top of people, man, who would have, if they wouldn't have done what they did, this country would have never been found as being America. But they, you know, get incentives, man, to jump right over these folks. And, you know, so, you know, you got to ask yourself, what kind of people, you know, what kind of people are these, you know, that would do such a thing? I mean, just even thinking about the tenderism guy, you know, and how,
with the,
you know, how, you know, here's a guy that's going to try to push him out or something, you know, and this is what America has always done. And we're going to talk about more of that in the next video, how America, man, always tried to erase pertinent things, you know, to support white supremacy. You know, they wanted to, see, because if they would have let these things be history, then it would have really dulled the fact that these white people were supreme. It would have dulled the fact of white supremacy. You understand? So therefore they had, well, according to their minds, they had to cut it out, because if they didn't cut that out, then white supremacy would have been questionable. Okay, would have been questionable, because these people did such great things to help America become America. You see, and we're going to talk about that, man. And this has always been the mindset of people, you know, to push black people all the way down when they've done so much. But where are they going to go? You know, I'm going down the rabbit hole to find out more about my great-grandfather, which is buried here, which bled here. His father buried here, bled here. You know what I mean? Who are going to be more patriotic, man, than black Americans who, through the ages, have history here and have blood spilled here, you know, and then when the coast is clear, after we spilled all our blood and did everything that we had to do, then you got other people popping up, you know, and really not trying to support what we have done, not trying to support us, but trying to talk down on us and all this, that, and the other, which is straight foolishness, because we never went nowhere but stayed here, fought, bled, and died to make this country what it is. And then you got people that didn't do that in their own country, but come here and try to, you know, chastise us for what we need to be doing, which is totally crazy.
And I feel you, because my observation is, like, a lot of people is just living for today. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, because like you said, like I'm catching, you know, lives where it's foundational Black Americans and immigrants pretty much debating some heated arguments, and it seems like they disregard the history, because in one live I even heard somebody disrespect, I believe, Harriet Tubman or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and it seemed like they just like, yo, forget about what y'all done for us, you know, to be able to come into America and live how you live, being Black and brown. It doesn't matter. We here living for today, forget tomorrow. What do you think about that type of mindset?
Well, again, man, if you know, that's why, like I said, it's so important, man, for you to understand who you are, man, and go down the road. See, because Black Americans, or foundational Black Americans, which is really, that foundational word is true. Because what I found out about the Revolutionary War, Blacks was right there, you know, and without them, America wouldn't have been America without them. And, you know, so that foundational piece, you know, is well in place. You know, that foundational Black America is definitely well in place. It should be right where it is. So, you know, first of all, you know, as a foundational Black American, you know, I was always taught to mind my own business. You know, don't get in other people's affairs. But, you know, the immigrant, it looked like their culture don't teach them that. You know, because you see them all up in Black Americans' affairs. You see them talking about America per se, and they don't never talk about their own country or anything like that. It's always America.
So why is it that they are like like pretty much the spokesman of, you know, like in the leadership positions, like government and all of that? Like, it's usually somebody that's not foundational, and it's always somebody from like their roots is from another country, like maybe the Caribbean.
Well, you know, I was just looking at a video today about some woman, you know, who is a Black immigrant, you know, using black, you know, but she had got arrested for stealing $7,000 because she was part of a city council, and then she hired her, you know, some people in her family, you know, which, and then wound up stealing $7,000, and, you know, she only got a month in, and you know, she was in a leadership position, and she wasn't even a legal alien. She wasn't even legal.
How does that?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. But you know what, man? You know, I would say this. Blacks, you know, white folks, you know, did themselves and us a very, very bad injustice when they allow immigrants to take public office.
But it's,
you know, because usually it's against Americans, and usually it's against us. So you hate foundational Black Americans so bad that you would put other immigrants in power positions, man, who don't really do nothing for Americans. It's just crazy, man. And the thing about this is this: you see them in these positions, but they always come to America. Not that they love America. They come, man, to be opportunists and get what they can from America, man, and be about their business, man. And I think it's a very, very grave injustice to Americans, foundational Black Americans in particular, and all Americans, be it white, black, or anything. You know, in fact, You know, they telling me that they want 600,000 Chinese nationals to come in and go to school. That's going to take away from Americans, period. Be it black, white, anything. And see, that should show you that America, they talk a good game for Americans only. See, until they give black people the reparative justice that they need, then you always should look at government, man, with with that side eye. You understand? Because they'll talk a good game, but when you really want to really say Americans first, then you'll give black people or foundational black Americans what they do. And I don't care about.
They just do.
They just do, and I don't care about any outsider looking in, talking about what they shouldn't do or whatever the case may be, because the outsider should never have no business in our business. Period.
Never.
We're taught that. We're taught to mind our own business. I would never speak on Africa or things that's going on in Africa or nothing like that there. I go out my way to do that. You see, I'm concerned about black Americans, the people who I love. I'm concerned there. That's where my roots are. You see, so, but they're not taught that. They have a different
like a tribalistic type of, like a tribalistic
well, they
type
have that, but what I'm saying is, what we were taught to mind our own business, they don't do that. I see all the immigrants always giving their opinion, man, on something, man, that they
never
came in after.
And then,
They came in after, man, after the smoke cleared, after, the dust settled, after it was safe. I don't have no respect for that, man. At all. And if you do come in, keep your mouth shut about businessmen that you don't have no business about. That's how I feel.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Unless you are talking some of the talking points you talking about, helping.
Helping.
Yeah.
Becoming an ally.
Because I know it is some immigrants, it's the leadership that's against giving us our just due. They say that we shouldn't get our just due.
You're like that guy, Ronald McDonald. What's his name? Brian McDonald? Ronald McDonald? I don't know. But he's sitting there, I ain't getting none, so I'm not for you. I mean, what kind of mentality is this? Because you ain't getting it, you can't support me? Man, listen, I remember, man, when Haitians used to come over in the Institute and how they used to send them back and how they, would let white people come, man. And I was so sad for them Haitians, man. But when y'all come over here, man, and y'all, in fact, man, let me say this. When I was in college, I used to tutor, because I became an A student in math, and I used to tutor this Haitian brother and sister. I used to tutor them in math, because I was an A student. And when there was Easter vacation, they went back, and then they came back and told me that they were told not to affiliate it with black Americans. See, they told me that.
Wow.
See, you know what I mean? So our hearts always been towards you, but you rather listen to that type of stuff and not bond with us. You understand? Well, our heart is for you. But if that's what type of time you on, if you're on that Judas time, if you're on that you can be bought time, then I don't really have time for that. That Judas time, you want to shell out just to get a bag, then I ain't on that type of time. And I don't really want to have nothing to do with people like that.
Exactly.
Because people like that have no integrity. They can be bought. Money, if you got enough money, then you can buy them. And I'm not on that type of time, and I don't really rock with people, man, who is on that type of time. You see?
And I feel like we gave them enough, and that's just a good note to end it on.
No, well, let me say this here, because I need to say this here about something else that I've seen about immigrants. And this is why it's so important for black Americans, man, to find out their history. Put it out there. Let people know, man, that we are proud of who we are, and we got a reason to be.
Yes.
Mondami here in New York said,
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Immigrants founded New York. That is not true. Or
He
built
said
New
he
York.
said immigrant what?
Immigrants built New York, but
Okay.
that's not true. Again, foundational Black Americans built New York, New Amsterdam, right down on Wall Street, and that's why they call it Wall Street. Black slaves built that, and also to prove that, they got an African burial ground right smack in Lower Manhattan. African burial ground. So, they call it African burial ground, but I say a foundation Black American burial ground. So, hey, look, man, if nothing else, so I just wanted to say that just to show you, foundation Black Americans, man, you have nothing to be ashamed about. Again, man, stay tuned for the next video because that's going to be something else. So until then, subscribe to the video, like the video, and whatever. Subscribe, like it,
share,
what I can say, hit the notifications, for the next video. Whatever y'all need to do
Do that.
do that.
And we
stay
out.
tuned.
And we out.
All right.